Hello, welcome to Bored and Confused, where I review shows based on two criteria. One, was I bored? Two, was I confused? Today's show is Liberation, playing at James Earl Jones Theater on Broadway. Now, before I get into this, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me grow this channel, allows me to see more shows, get press tickets, and bring my thoughts to you. Win-win. So I did get a press ticket for this, which I was so thankful for because this show premiered at the Pels Theater as part of Roundabout Theater's Off-Broadway season at the beginning of last year, and it was a huge hit. I heard lots of great buzz about it, and they even extended it, but I wasn't able to get in to see it. So when I heard it was coming to Broadway, I was like, great, I'm finally going to get to see this play. And boy, was I so happy. I loved this play. So if you just need to know whether I liked it or not, I liked this play. Everyone should go see it. You can turn off the video, go buy your ticket and see it, and then come back and we can have a discussion about it in the comments below. But if you need a little more information, stick around and we'll talk about it. So what is this play about? Bess Wohl spent 15 years developing this play. It's kind of a memory play, but it's not her memory. It's an exploration into her mother's life. Bess is trying to understand some contradictions with her mother. Her mother started a women's liberation, feminist conscious raising group in Ohio when she was in her 20s. But Bess really knows her more as a mother because she got married and raised kids, and Bess is kind of struggling with these two different identities of her mother. And so this is a play where Bess's mother has passed on, so Bess is trying to make sense of these contradictory ideas that she has about her mother. So the play jumps between modern times and the 1970s when her mother created this group. And what I find so interesting about this play that was really intriguing both as an audience but also as a writer is Bess allows this play to be a little messy in that she knows that memory is faulty. She knows that she doesn't have all the answers, and she's doing her best to piece this story together. But yet she understands that it's a play. It's about ideas. It's not going to be accurate. And she really walks this great line of having her stand-in, who's the character of Lizzie, played by Susanna Flood, who's magnificent. We'll get into the cast in a second. They're all great. But Lizzie comes out and speaks directly to the audience, and she tells us what we're doing, and then we go back in time to this gym in Ohio where she started this group. We meet all these women, and there's moments where Lizzie will step out of the scenes and talk directly to the audience. There's moments where she talks to the actors playing these characters. There's moments where we see these characters now 50 years later, and Lizzie is interviewing them. Lizzie jumps out of the play to make comments about the fact that she's writing for characters that are black or immigrants, that she doesn't have the same lived experience as. And I just found that it was both the writing and the direction and the performances. Potentially, this play could be incredibly confusing, but I was never confused at all because they handled the leaps between time and space with a light change. Sometimes the director would add a little prop, like she'd be holding an iPhone with a little microphone on it. And immediately, visually, we see that and we go, okay, we're not in the 70s. Because Lizzie's on stage the whole time, she doesn't get to change costumes. She's dressed like she's in the 70s for this whole play. And Lizzie is also playing herself modern day, and she's playing her mother in the 1970s. So I want to talk about the cast here. They're really incredible. It's mainly, the main characters are Lizzie, and then there's 5 women that are in this group. And then there's a 6th woman that comes in later. And also we meet the character of Bill, the man that Lizzie will end up marrying, the father of Lizzie, or Bess. So these characters are all very different, and they are archetypes. But I don't mind that because yes, they are archetypes of all these different kind of women's lib movement types. You've got the frustrated housewife. You've got the Marxist revolutionary anarchist character. You've got the mousy, pretty girl. You've got the fiery Italian immigrant. You've got the intellectual black woman who may feel like she's trying to fit in with these white women. I actually appreciated that they were really giving me these different types of women that may have been involved in these kind of women's groups. And I thought the actors just did a great job of really humanizing what could just be archetypes. I'm going to run down these characters. I kind of just explained them all. But you've got Lizzie, played by Susanna Flood, who is our narrator. You've got Margie, played by Betsy Adam, who plays this older suburban housewife who's in her 60s. And we really get to see her plight as someone who doesn't have a bank account, doesn't know how to balance a checkbook. But she's basically just been relegated to doing household chores. Her husband is now retired, but yet she doesn't get to retire. She's still got to clean the house and cook and clean and do all these things while her husband watches TV. We've got Dora, short for Dorothy, played by Audrey Corsa, and she's a young secretary who thought that she was coming to a knitting circle, but she gets really excited by listening to what these women have to say. And then she kind of has the biggest arc of all the characters. And I really loved Audrey's performance in this. Celeste, played by Crystalline Lloyd, is a black Harvard-educated book editor who has returned to Ohio from New York to take care of her mother, who is ill. We've also got Isadora, who's played by Irene Sofia Lucio, and she's an immigrant woman from Italy, and she's gotten married to a man just for the green card, and she is just itching to break free and is a fiery, passionate character. And I have to say, maybe she might be my favorite, just because she is the biggest character in this play, and she has some of the funniest lines. There's one line about nuns being in charge that I won't give away, but it got the biggest laugh from me, for sure, but maybe the whole audience. Bess Wohl's writing in this, it's both hilarious and it's also poignant and touching. There's tears will be shed, you will laugh, you will be shocked. This play does it all for me. Okay, and then we've got Susan, who's a radical Marxist intellectual in her 20s, who's been living in her car, and she just rails against the system, and she dreams of getting a motorcycle and living her best life. And then we've got a smaller character of Joanne, who's a black woman who just briefly appears in the show, but does provide us with a really nice scene between Celeste, the Harvard-educated black woman, and Joanne, who is a mother of 4 boys who would love to attend these kind of meetings, but they're at 6 p.m. on a school night. And so she really brings another perspective of the women's movement in the 70s. And rounding out the cast, we have a man. Yes, there's always a man, isn't there? But this is the character of Bill, who has an important role, but has some just short scenes. But he's the pull that's pulling Lizzie away from her feminist ideals, and she ultimately is going to marry this man and have a child named Lizzie. And excuse me if I keep saying Lizzie's mother and calling her Lizzie, because I don't remember what the name of the mother is. Let's check the program. No, it just says Lizzie. Maybe we never learned the name of the mother. Or maybe the name of the mother is Lizzie, and maybe Bess's mother's name was Lizzie. Or maybe Bess is short for Beth, Elizabeth, and that's another way of saying Lizzie. Who knows? All right, the set design for this show is very simple. It's just a gym, but it's very well realized. The costumes for this are fantastic. The costume designer, Queen Jen, great name, she had a blast with these costumes. Are they entirely realistic? Maybe not, but I don't care, because I thought these costumes really captured the 70s. They really captured the character of each of these characters, and they were just so fun to look at. And as we get towards the final scene, it's like the moment that denim became a trend, and all of a sudden everyone's wearing denim. So as we go through the years, we see these kind of trends that are coming into the costumes. We see how these women are changing. The dresses are getting a little tighter. It's really great. There's a scene at the beginning of the second act where all of these women are butt-ass naked. So if you're someone who has a sensitivity to the human body, you might want to take this in consideration. And after the play, I did kind of consider this, because I always do with nudity. Personally, I am fine with nudity. I'm comfortable being naked, and I'm comfortable seeing people naked. It's not a big deal to me. You could do the whole play naked, and I'd be like, whatever. But I know to a lot of people, it can be very distracting. And so I always ask myself afterwards, was the nudity integral to the play? And with this, could they have cut that scene? Yes, but I think it really speaks to these women's groups who would do things like this to really come to understand their bodies and to look at their bodies as women as opposed to being objectified by men. So for that reason alone, I thought this scene was very important in the play. Not a crucial scene, but I thought it woke us up, and we're talking about liberation. I felt it was liberating not only for these characters, but for these actors. You know, Real Women Have Curves could only dream of being this liberated. So kudos to these actors for being brave and doing this scene. And I'm going to just say they all looked fantastic. I find all bodies beautiful, and everyone was beautiful. And they actually go through this moment where they are trying to name things they like about their bodies and things they don't like about their bodies. And it's funny as an audience looking at them, for every one of them, there's something I could say great about each one of them. And so it's interesting to watch them struggle to find something that, some of them struggle to find something they like about themselves, and some of them immediately are like, I love my body. So I really appreciated this moment. The show, because it is not a typical narrative, the pacing does kind of ebb and flow, but I didn't mind that because that's life. And I do feel, though, that the excitement, you get in the first act of kind of exploring it and starting to understand the story we're telling it and the way we're telling it. When we get to the second act, we kind of understand all of these rules, and there's not really any really big new jumps that we do. So the second act wasn't as powerful for me as the first act. And I think the reason is because the play isn't building towards this epiphany or this big lesson that we're going to impart to the audience. The play is a little messy in that the playwright gets to a place where she's like, I don't have a big conclusion. I don't have a big moment. And so part of me would have loved that, but at the same time, I understand that that's not what this play is. And so accepting it at face value, Bess is not going to be able to come to a conclusion to solve this dichotomy of her mother. This play is really an exploration. And for me, I just enjoyed the exploration so much. I thought it was just entertaining and thought-provoking and emotional and really funny and great acting. So across the board, I just thought this was a great night of theater. And this isn't a bigger theater than it probably should be in, because it feels like a very intimate play. And the James Earl Jones is a 3-tiered theater. You've got the balcony, your mezzanine, and the orchestra. I think for this play, I got lucky getting press seats for this. I was on the 4th row near the aisle. I had to do a little bit of dodging and weaving, even being that close, because there was one tall dude just to the left of me. I would have made a video, but you have to put your phones away into a little yonder bag. I completely understand when there's nudity involved. So I didn't get to make a video to show you my perspective. But even when you have a great seat, there's always one tall dude who's just blocking one person, and you kind of have to lean around. That's theater. So what am I trying to say? Ideally, I think for this play, you do want to be more orchestra center. I think that's going to be better. Please comment below if you sat more towards the side, because I worried about getting too far to the sides that some of the angles might not be great. I do have to say that most of the staging is really far downstage, which is great for the mezzanine and the balcony, so that you don't feel too separated. But the point I want to make is that this is a big theater, and it is a small, intimate play that many people may think only feminists are going to want to see. Everyone should see this play. And hey, I hate to say this, it has nudity in it, so bring your boyfriends, bring your husbands, they'll get something out of it. I probably shouldn't say that. But I feel like even if you go to see this play for the wrong reason, hopefully you will be touched. And this is one of these plays too, where I ask myself, is this preaching to the choir too much? I really would be curious what a politically conservative person would saw this play, if they could maybe learn something. I would hope so. And I would hope that they'd be willing to see this play. So tell your friends, tell your conservative friends, tell your boyfriends, tell your husbands, tell your feminists, tell your non-feminists, tell everybody to go see Liberation. It's at a big theater. You're going to be able to get tickets. You can pay full price and get that orchestra suite seat, but there are also options. There's $39 in-person rush tickets that you get at the box office. There's $45 digital rush tickets on the telecharge Russian lottery page, and there's also $50 lottery tickets. And I'm going to say it now, because it's a big theater, you might get one of these lottery tickets and you might be able to scooch over a little bit, get a little more center. So I think it's worth the risk to go for a rush or lottery ticket. So please go check out Liberation and come back and tell me how you liked it in the comments below. I feel like I don't want to have overhyped this, so before you go in, think Matt knows nothing. This show's not going to be great. Go in thinking it's not going to be great, and then you'll be blown away. All right, go check out Liberation, and I will see you at the next one. Bye.